I'd like to call the September 2019 meeting of the Monroe County Board of Education to order, and I'll ask Mr. Harvey for our invocation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray. May the words spoken in this room tonight be beneficial to the students, parents, staff, and administrators in our school system. And may we be led by the guiding principle to always base our decisions on the best interests of our young people. Amen.
Everyone, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll recognize Superintendent Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the Board of Education, tonight it's my honor and privilege to present to you the agenda for this evening's meeting as a proposed item for your consideration and hopefully approved.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
A motion by Mr. Smith. And a second by Mr. Davis. No discussion or objections. I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Williams. My comments, I'd like to welcome back our students and our parents and guardians and guests tonight. Last month was our first day back for our staff, and I believe I welcome them back. If I didn't, welcome, but I believe I did. So tonight it's about students and parents, guardians, friends, and family, and our guests here tonight. So welcome back to all of you to a new school year. And I would also like to thank everyone that was involved in the preparation of getting ready for, I guess, Hurricane Dorian. There was preparation, quite a bit. And also, I'd like to thank everyone that was involved in the aftermath of Dorian. We were very fortunate. We didn't have any more damage than we did. We'll be getting an update from Mr. Harvey shortly, so I will not go into that, but we were very, very fortunate. I believe we had a funnel cloud extremely close to South Lenore High School, as well as other parts of our county. But thanks to everyone involved with the preparation and the aftermath. I know we had staff go in our facilities afterwards and check on any damage and what needed to be done. I know our maintenance staff was out making some repairs and doing things like that. So once again, thank you very much for what you do for our school system. I'm very proud of everyone and what they did. And we're very fortunate. Mr. White, I know you're our technology guy, so this is not directed to you, but it seems like the more technology that we get, the less we understand where these storms are going. It's about 12 days ago, that storm was cutting right through the middle of Florida. And I believe, if I'm correct, the eye never even touched Florida. So that just shows you that we are, Mr. White, our technology is getting better every day. We have more of it, I'll put it that way. So it's not directed at you, mainly our meteorologists, but Florida got lucky. Some of our folks did not, but could have been a lot worse. So, very fortunate. Now I'll recognize our superintendent again.
Thank you much, Mr. Chairman. To echo what Chairman King said, certainly we feel very fortunate in our school system and in our community. Having had 3 hurricanes in a little over 3 years, it was tough for us to contemplate damage when we're still trying to recover fully from. Many are recovering from Hurricane Florence, and still in our community some are recovering from Hurricane Matthew. So it's been a long road for so many people, and our thoughts continue to be with those people who are recovering as we send our thoughts and goodwill wishes to those in the Outer Banks who did suffer damage. And as Mr. King referenced, Mr. Harvey will be giving a presentation about Hurricane Dorian and its impact on Lenore County, and I won't steal that thunder, but It is true. I thought I was really starting to panic on Friday when one of our principals sent me a picture of a funnel cloud over his school's parking lot, and that really looked terrible. So the weather experts said, "Oh, that's not a tornado. That's a land spout or whatever they called it." But I will tell you, in really inspecting the damage out there, the fence was ripped up and torn up and twisted, and light pole, a ball field light pole, one of those tall ones, was twisted like a matchstick. So the circular winds, whatever the experts actually call it, there was damage there at the school, but it could have been so much worse. And we've seen that pattern repeated twice over the last 3 years. So very fortunate and blessed indeed not to have worse damage. I do want to thank our operations departments and all of our staff members, from school custodians to certified staff members, classified staff members, everybody who went to check on the school, everybody who pitched in to mop up water, because we did have some existing leaks who were made worse by this deluge. We did have some parts of our buildings damaged slightly, but comparatively speaking, very little. I want to thank, as I said, especially our operations departments with maintenance, with child nutrition, monitoring those freezers when the power was out, making sure the food was still safe. And by the way, we did not lose any food this time, and we feel very fortunate in that. We didn't lose any, did we, Ms. Smith? Not at all, and that's the first time during a hurricane that I think during a recent hurricane in the last 5 or 6 years that we can say that. So I'm very pleased with that. Child nutrition, maintenance, transportation department, they always do a great job of preparing beforehand. Mr. Mitchell and his team making sure that they're ready and then responding immediately, making sure the buses are ready to roll, maintenance out there on the campuses, making sure a school could open today. Technology the same, making sure everything was working. So I just want to thank everybody, but especially our boots on the ground people who are working when everybody else is off, to make sure we can have school the following day. So thank you for what you did. We've had a smooth start to the school year. Now that seems strange to say right after a hurricane, but it's becoming a way of life in eastern North Carolina, isn't it? And in Lenore County. To have the hurricane just after the beginning of school, but a smooth start. Our enrollment as of today, 8671, and we ended the year with 8,413, and last year at this time we had 8,668. So currently 8671, and last year on the same day we had 8668. So just up slightly, but there is variability here. Ms. Sheila Heath can tell you it goes up and down by the day with entry withdrawal activity. Typically after Labor Day, we see an uptick in the number of enrollments, and that certainly was the case this year. And then sometimes that comes back down and normalizes, but we were pleased so far that we didn't have a dramatic reduction. We have so much to be thankful for. Chief among them, our amazing kids, our students, our parents, our very supportive community, and just certainly any time and any day, but especially in the aftermath of what could have been a potential tragedy for our community. Hopefully, I know the Caribbean's active right now, and I know there are disturbances down there, 2 of them to be of note. So I'm hoping that won't materialize into a further issue of concern for us, but if it does, we'll be ready. But at this point, I can say great job to all team members, all staff members, all students, all community members on a smooth start of the 2019-2020 school year. I am confident that this will be our greatest school year to date. I want to congratulate someone on accomplishments from last year. We have, as you know, Board of Education, you have sponsored a Perfect Attendance Award. We have, our administrative team and the Board of Education to celebrate and to encourage and incentivize perfect attendance among our staff members. And of all the many perfect attendance folks, they each received certificates when we went out to the schools at the beginning of the year. And we had one overall winner with, she was a $1,000 winner actually. That's the grand prize. There's just one prize and she won it. And that's Miss Bonnie Whitehurst at Northwest Elementary School. We're gonna Congratulations to Northwest. We're going to bring in Ms. Whitehurst at next month's meeting. In lieu of the agenda items, there were some things that we moved to next month. A couple of recognitions in lieu of recognition of time for tonight, since we do have a number of presentation items. But she'll be here, and we can congratulate her in person next month. At its opening meeting in August, the Exceptional Children's Department named its top educators for 2019. Longtime special needs teacher Ms. Gail Jernigan of North Lenore High School was honored as EC Teacher of the Year. And in a decision so difficult, it resulted in co-winners Kay Hardison of Northeast Elementary School and Marla Lawson of Contentnia Savannah K-8 School were named EC Teacher Assistants of the Year. Ms. Jernigan joined LCPS as a lateral entry teacher at South Lenore High School and added her bachelor's and master's degrees in special education from East Carolina University. Ms. Hardison joined LCPS in 1997 as a teacher assistant at Savannah Middle School and later moved to Northeast Elementary. Ms. Lawson joined the staff at Contentnia Savannah in 2016 after working for 12 years at Northwest Elementary School. If these ladies would come forward, we'd like to present you with a certificate. And I'll ask my board chair So the teacher of the year doesn't follow directly.
Takes over.
So you know. That's what makes her teacher of the year. Thank you. Proud of. Ms. Harrison, congratulations. Ms. Lawson, congratulations. Proud of you.
All right, on 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Great, thanks.
We would like to thank Duke Energy Foundation for awarding Lenore County Public Schools a grant for nearly $12,000 that will fund hands-on STEM learning activities at Whittington Middle School, Rochelle Middle School, and E.B. Frink Middle School, and Contentnia Savannah K-8 School, and Lenore County Learning Academy. This grant was awarded to LCPS by the Center for Inquiry-Based Learning, CIBL, the school's district partner in this STEM activity in August. STEM kits provided by CIBL will help 6th graders learn about energy and waves and help 7th graders learn about machines, energy, force, and motion. These kits include teacher guides and materials used in the hands-on activities. Congratulations to all who participated in writing this successful grant. We're proud of you. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Public comments? All right, without any public comments, we'll move to our presentation portion of the agenda. And first up is Mr. Harvey with the impact of Hurricane Dorian.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I begin to talk about the impact of Hurricane Dorian, I'd first like to thank all of our school administration teams, building level custodians, and our outstanding maintenance, child nutrition, and transportation teams for their efforts prior to the storm's arrival to mitigate potential losses due to the pending winds and rain. Additionally, their post-storm response was equally as impressive. We had principals and staff members on their campuses at daybreak on Friday to assess the damage. Without their leadership, schools would not have been in operation today. Principals have entered their damages into an online form for us to request reimbursement from the Department of Public Instruction. As Mr. King stated earlier, we are very fortunate and have a lot to be thankful for. Most importantly, student services. I'm proud to report tonight, at this time, we have no displaced students. If you remember, in years past at the Florence, we were over 260 students displaced. Last year during Matthew, there were over 60. We will continue to monitor the river levels, however, because there was a projection to get to minor flood stage. I think they backed off that prediction right now, but we will continue to monitor those levels. We had a heavy rain today, so we'll continue to do that. Enrollment, and this is fresh off the press, Mr. Williams. We're actually at 8698 today. That's more
That's what
information.
the updated.
That's update today, 8698. So we're actually up from where we were on Wednesday. So that's very encouraging. I think that's some of the after Labor Day bump, as Mr. Williams referenced. Facilities, minor storm damage related to the hurricane, leaks, ceiling tiles, water intrusion caused by high winds and rain. As I stated earlier, our principals have done an outstanding job of providing me with that information and pictures as well, and I'll show you some of those tonight. School operations teams did an outstanding job, I've already said that. This is Southwood. Those are some of their siding and gutters. This is also Southwood Elementary. That's the part of their breezeway. Very high winds again in the southern part of Lenore County, very similar to what Matthew showed us.
There again, you see the urgency of getting that out of the way, that sharp metal before the kids entered the building safely today.
South Lenore High School, I don't have a picture yet of the baseball field, but this is part of their gutter system on the backside of their gym. So the wind did pick up, and we do have that picture. We can share it with you of that funnel cloud near their school. This is North Lenore High School. This is their media center lobby. Ceiling tile. This picture represents what we saw at many of our schools. Ceiling tiles due to a leaky roof and water on the floor. Our building level custodians were on it immediately to ensure we could operate today. And this is the last picture. This is also North Lenore High School, their cyber campus, where water entered that cyber campus facility. Mr. Resters was on his campus early on Friday with his team. They did an outstanding job as well. Transportation. I was really happy to see Mr. Mitchell this morning doing senior staff, because when Mr. Mitchell's in the building, that means transportation is okay. The bus garage and environmental facilities sustained very minor damage, no damage to the fleet. Mr. Mitchell was on standby to move those buses, his lifts, the tools. Fortunately, this time that was not necessary, but he was on standby. A kudo and a hat off to Mr. Mitchell and his team. We did transport National Guardsmen from Swan Quarter in Hyde County back to the Kinston Airfield. They were airlifted to Hyde County at the height of the storm, but could not get back. So emergency management contacted us early Saturday morning, and Mr. Mitchell and his team got right on it, and we sent shuttles down to bring them back to Lenore County. So thank you, Mr. Mitchell, and your team for doing that. And as you know, we resumed regular operations today, 9/9. Technology, 2 control switches, South Lenore High School and Banks needed replacement. The students lost Wi-Fi. So you can imagine how those schools were this morning, and teachers without Wi-Fi for temporary loss of their internet connectivity. But Mr. White and his team did an outstanding job to rectify that, and we rectified that very early this morning. At Moss Hill right now, Moss Hill lost power for a significant amount of time. They still have interruption of their intercom and bell system, and that is incomplete, and we're working on a remedy to that right now. Child nutrition, 3 schools, LaGrange Elementary, Moss Hill, and Frink lost power for approximately 7 hours. Their freezers did, however, maintain the required temperature to preserve food. So as Ms. Smith said earlier, we did not lose any food. If you recall, in storms past, thousands of dollars, I think $77,000 in 2016 in lost food. So we had 0 losses this time. So her team was monitoring the power and the freezer temperatures, so we were able to preserve that. Athletics, of course. 2 football games were postponed, junior varsity games, volleyball games, and 1 soccer game postponed. They all have been rescheduled. There was 1 actually rescheduled tonight at North Lenore, but I don't think Carteret County was quite ready to play. So that has been pushed back to a later date as well. We did allow practice to resume on Saturday, 9/7, under the restrictions that practice had to end before dusk, because we were unsure what river levels would look like. And we sent the message out after 3 o'clock, after the end of the school day, what would have been the school day on Friday. And the practice was optional. If kids could not make practice, they would not be held accountable. So it was a practice that was not required, but we understand we had very good participation on Saturday from all of our athletic teams. That's where we stand operationally. We do have a lot to be thankful for. I'll entertain any questions that you have.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey.
Thank you.
Next item is our round 3 coding grant. Mrs. Herring.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Coding and Mobile App Development Grant. This is the second Coding and Mobile App Development Grant awarded to Lenore County Public Schools. The first grant was used to implement coding classes for high school students, which are actually now in their second year of availability into every high school in Lenore County.
NCDPI has done 3 of these. This is the 3rd one. We won the first one. We were the first in the Southeast region to get that, and we're the only district in the Southeast region to get 2 in 3 years. So really proud of that.
Yes, sir. These classes are taught online by Stephanie Harrell with high school media coordinators supervising the students on site. There are 50 students enrolled this year in these courses from all 3 of our traditional high schools and the early college. The Coding and Mobile App Development Grant has been offered by NCDPI for the past 3 years, like Mr. Williams mentioned, as a way to increase coding and computer science opportunities for middle and high school students. Lenore County Public Schools selected the First Tech Challenge, FTC, as a way to engage a wider range of students for robotics and coding. On the First Tech Challenge team, students are challenged to design, build, program, and operate robots to play a floor game in a tournament format. Guided by adult coaches and mentors, students develop STEM skills and practice engineering principles while realizing the value, of course, of hard work, innovation, and sharing ideas. These are all of the 4 LEGO League robotics pathways. As you can see, there are plenty of opportunities for expansion above and below the First Tech Challenge. So we'll have an opportunity to go all the way down to kindergarten and then all the way up through high school. Robot kits will be purchased utilizing the grant funds. Every September, a team challenge is released, and students must design, build, and code or program their robots to solve the challenge. The challenge consists of an activity that the robot must perform at the competition and is divided into 2 parts. In the first part, the robot must be programmed to complete the task using only the directions coded into the robot by the team prior to the competition. The second part of the challenge, the team is allowed to drive the robot to finish any remaining tasks. The robot kit is reusable every year and can be coded using a variety levels of the Java-based programming such as Blockly. The First Tech Challenge teams get to do many things: design, build, and program robots, apply real-world math, science concepts, build and become leaders, understand and practice what's called gracious professionalism, cooperate and compete in alliances at tournaments, compete for awards on and off the field, participate in a tiered competition that culminates at the first championship, qualify for millions of dollars in college scholarships, and of course to have fun. The equipment will cost around $4,000. So how will the funding be used? It will purchase all of the equipment, adult mentor professional development. Our mentors are going to have some professional development behind this. Any team travel expenses to the competitions, and of course there's entry fees for every team. So the grant will cover all of those necessary funds. According to research provided by Brandeis University, students who participate in FTC are significantly more likely to show gains in interest in STEM careers, and understanding of STEM than a matched comparison group of other students. FTC alumni are 2.6 times more likely to enroll in an engineering course during their freshman year. Over 75% of FTC alumni are in a STEM field as a student or a professional. They become involved with the process by volunteering to be a team mentor. No prior coding or robotics experience is required, and we do encourage students to participate. STEM careers are a positively trending career pathway for future graduates. Even if you cannot commit to being a team mentor, volunteer to assist as a practice or mock competition. Students and the adults involved need all of our encouragement and support. As I conclude, I'd like to especially thank our community and business sponsors for this grant, Crown Industries and Lenore Community College. Their continued support of STEM and coding education in Lenore County is making an impact beyond our wildest dreams. And finally, the Lenore County Public School First Tech Challenge team will be mentored by none other than the Aggies of NC-A&T and the Pitt Pirates. And the Pitt Pirates is the Pitt County's robotics team. I'd like to thank the board for your continued support. And Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Herring. Any questions for Mrs. Herring?
Because Aggies do.
Because Aggies do.
Okay, our next presentation item will be our work-based experiences in Lenore County Public Schools, Future Ready Lenore. Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Shea.
Excuse me. Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to come tonight and present to you about work-based learning in Lenore County. Hopefully my presentation will come back. Let's see.
Let me see if I can get it for you, Mr.
That's all right. I'll try it. Let me turn it off and turn it back on.
I think that's me.
Ms. Jones, do you need
That's
some
me.
work-based learning?
I do need work-based learning. I think it's when I hit the cord that was it. There we go. Okay. I also like to introduce you. You know Jessica Scheimer, who is our nope. Do it again. I got kicked off again.
Got it.
Jessica Scheimer is our career development coordinator serving the high schools in Lenore County. She does an outstanding job. So what we'd like to talk about tonight is work-based learning, career development for kindergarten through 12th grade. We're going to focus primarily on our high schools, but please understand that we have an intense focus on expanding our middle school career awareness activities this year. And we are working with our elementary schools to continue to work backwards so that we can make sure that we're impacting all of our students K-12 with a comprehensive career development plan. We recently expanded work-based learning opportunities through industry partnerships, and we would like for you to know what's available to our students through work-based learning.
I promise I didn't break it.
Okay.
When I presented.
All right.
I promise. I'm sorry.
Mr. White, if you have an adapter, I'll just plug up.
I'm trying to help.
Well, there's mine again.
I don't know what's.
No, it's gone.
The technology.
That's fine. We'll talk you through it. The slideshow is fantastic.
Yes.
I'm so sure. That's a good one.
We can see it.
Yes,
You are-
yes.
We are CT.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, we
That
like the
regional
hands-on
principal of the year.
activity.
Yeah, regional principal of the year.
So our principal of the year travels with one of those?
The principal of the year is a rock star. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Well, oh, I've got to switch the input. Excuse me. I still need work-based learning apparently.
College stickers on these computers.
There we go. Okay. Phew, that was a lot. All right. So what we'd like to share with you now, this is our continuum of career development and work-based learning. And as you can see, there are 3 strands of the career activities. Career awareness impacts elementary, middle school, and high school. And they include things like guest speakers and career fairs. Career exploration is where students actually start going into industries and work-based sites. And then career preparation is where we're going into that intensive cooperative education, apprenticeships, internships, and those types of things. So that's what we're going to talk with you all about this evening. And for all of these, work-based learning liability insurance is provided through DPI for all of these programs, so our students are covered. So for career awareness activities, as you know, it starts even before children enter school. Children observe their family members at work. They see people working in their communities and places of business. Our goal is to help children explore these opportunities in greater depth so that they will understand the wealth of opportunities available to them as they grow and mature. These are some of the ways that we are facilitating this type of career exploration. As you can see on the slide, career fairs, truck day, dress for your dream job, those are all examples of career awareness type activities. Major Clarity is a program that we implemented last year, and it's an interest survey that helps students hone in on their interest and explore careers. Students in middle school will create a rough career development plan that can be revised multiple times per year. What we don't want children to think is that once they do that interest survey one time, that's their career pathway. So we want them to be able to come back to it again and again and again. This will help them choose pathways of study in high school and even into post-secondary education. So for this, we're trying to help our students streamline their high school course selection as they move into that progression in high school and the CCP classes and things that they can do. Navigator is a program that allows us to sign students up for students at work opportunities. Teachers can use the Navigator platform to find guest speakers or opportunities for their students.
As we move from career awareness to career exploration, you're thinking more about local employment opportunities that are out there. Many of our students don't even know what a manufacturer produces here in Lenoir County. Many of them don't know what career ladder they might move through in a business, as well as owning their own business. How do I start my own business? That's one very popular area students like to go to. Industry and business tours do enlighten both our students and our teachers. We do group activities like our CTE opening day. We took our own CTE teachers to visit industries and gave them the opportunity to take a look, and they can bring that back into their classroom when they are. Then, of course, teachers take students on field trips and visit. These are some of the ones you see: Electrolux, Spirit, Bajur de Le Monde, and some of these where our teachers have taken students on group field trips also. Teacher externships are an opportunity for teachers to take a sneak peek at the skills that students will need to be competitive. It gives them relevant examples to use in the classroom of local businesses and industries. Opportunities have included like UNC Lenoir and Barnett, and on the horizon we're seeing teacher externships with Spirit and with Crown, and so we're excited about that. Manufacturing Day, I hope you recognize the logo. That's not new. There's National Manufacturing Day, which occurs in October, and plans are underway for that. We have moved ours. You'll notice our date is November 13th, and we did that because for 2 years we've had to adjust our date or either cancel as we did last year. And there's a lot of support for that. We raised, or the Manufacturing Association and the Economic Development raised like over $8,000, and do you give that money back? But most businesses said leave it there because we're ready for next year. So
I
that's.
want to point out for the board that it was closer to the manifestation of hurricanes and then the recovery, so that's why. Whether we're trying to have it before it got cold, but we moved it to October as sort of a compromise and hopefully post hurricane season.
Hopefully. So we, are underway with that, and so please mark that date down. We have a new location. We will be going to the Lenoir County Fairgrounds. So we're used to having it out at the Global Trans Park at the airport, but as you know, they're under renovations at both locations, which is a good thing. And we'll be back there. They are telling us, but we chose to go to the fairgrounds this year. The format is going to be much the same. We'll start the morning with our industry tours for our high school CTE students. Then the high schoolers will join middle school CTE students at the industry expo that will be at the fairgrounds. So please, board members, mark your calendar for November 13th, and the time will be 10:30 to 2. And that's during the expo, which companies are there, and our post-secondary partners are there also.
And that sounds like a long time span. Board members, in deference to your schedule, you can float in at any time and just stay as long as you can. Your presence would be appreciated at any time between that 10:30 and 2, and I believe there's a lunch there as well, right?
That's correct.
Correct. Our manufacturing day has been a model for other counties across the state, and now we're proud to say on a regional level. Mrs. Jones, Penny Lewis, and myself will be presenting an informational workshop in October at the ACT, which is the Association of Career and Technical Education Regional 2 Conference in Raleigh. Attendees that will be coming to that will be from our surrounding states, regional as far as southeast United States. So we're kind of excited about that. Yes, we are. And so moving on in exploration, job shadowing, and we're always touting this program because it's been a strong one. We're in our 13th year with job shadowing, and we've got our dates set for the year, the communication with all of our industries and companies that support it. And when you think about it, this is an opportunity for a one-on-one, more from the group thing to more the one-on-one. So the Shire student has an opportunity to ask those questions. And they do have to provide their own transportation. Most students get there with their own transportation with their parents. They are juniors and seniors at all of our high schools. I work through the counselors, the career coaches, and our CTE teachers to sign students up. They must, do the paperwork. It's about a half a day, 8 to 12, and then from there they do an important part where they meet me at the hospital, and the hospital is nice enough to let us have their auditorium. And the students, when they get there, do the important steps of a thank you letter to the mentor that they shadowed that very day while it's fresh on their mind. They do a brief evaluation, we do some photo ops, and then they're off to have their lunch on their own. And I tell students all the time, you take a college day, counselors push college days, well, you need career days too. And our administration has been very supportive, our principals, of letting the students have this day to go shadow in a career. And I tell them more than one time, as long as you're in good standing, because that's part of it, attendance and all the various things. Okay, and that's good. Cooperative education. Co-op is not a new term. You knew that when you were in high school probably. The co-op was the work program where students left early and went to a job and got paid. It's kind of fell off, and we're trying to revive it more because we know co-op is a great experience, and we're seeing more students leaving school now without a class, so why shouldn't they be in a work situation? And co-op can offer that for them. It is employment that's directly related to the classroom instruction. It contributes to the student's career objective, major, and his employability. Students gain valuable employability skills. The old term soft skills you hear, well, it's called employability skills now, and that's teamwork building, problem solving, being on time, customer relations. Those are some of the skills they can develop in a co-op experience. This can be, they get a credit for the class that's related, and they get a credit for the work experience. It may be that they leave early during the day, they may work after school, they may work on weekends. It's up to the employer and the student to work through that. There's paperwork that has to be done. Parents and teachers all have to be on board. You can see things like 200 contact hours over a semester. That's approximately 14 to 16 hours a week, and some of those hours can be done on the weekend. So it's not a high demand because we want their academics to be first and the job secondary. They must be in a second course in a pathway, much like animal science might be a course. They might take the first class, then the second class. They could do a work experience in a animal-related area, and students do. That is one good area that does co-op is our ag area. Okay. Internships. Career preparation is internships. This helps the student narrow his choices down even stronger. And you can see the progression that we're hoping for our students, and that they're zeroing in on the opportunity for internship. It doesn't have to be paid. It can be paid or unpaid, or it can be compensated in various ways. Like at the end of an automotive internship, a student might get a tool that they can use because they have to buy their own tools to be an auto mechanic. I've seen where schools, they've gotten work boots at the end of it. They got their own pair of work boots as a reward for the internship.
Ms. Jones and Ms. Scheimer, we should pause and point out to the board that this is a significant area in which our school system is growing, and that's in terms of the career internship. I think we've been strong for a while in career awareness,
Yes.
and our job shadowing has been strong, and we've even started basic steps toward career immersion. But this is a whole other area here with the internships paid and not paid. And this relates to something you're going to hear about in a few minutes with the nucleus of a partnership with the Manufacturers Association and some of their members to actually make a guarantee of jobs for some of our students who participate a reality.
Exactly, thank you. And so, you know, you can look at some of the internships. We did one in the spring with Spirit, South Lenore's Project Lead the Way class. I think we presented on that and told you some about that, but that was wonderful. And you see some of the requirements. I mean, they do documentation, journaling, evaluations, and they have a final product. And they had the, tell me what,
Engineer? Oh,
the composite.
Yeah,
They did
the
the
composite
composite
for the wing.
material and had their product at the end, and they had to test it, and it was just exciting. That was like a 6-week internship. They can be short-term, but they can go all the way for a full semester too. So we'll be offering that. School-based, we're excited about. Danielle Smith and Mrs. Jones have talked about letting some of our food and nutrition students actually work in some of our schools and, you know, use that as a work-based, probably unpaid, but as we see it there. And business, we are looking with Spirit and Crown, and we're going to talk a little more on that. The guidelines are lengthy, and
We just wanted to provide those for you so that you could see them and read through them, so if you had a question about what a student needed to do an internship, you would know. We will not read those to you.
parents have to be involved, teachers, everybody has to be on board.
So pre-apprenticeship, we talked a little bit about this last year, and we've been very excited about the progress we're making in this area. Students age 16 or above are eligible to apply for pre-apprenticeship placements. All pre-apprenticeships must be registered with Apprenticeship NC, and that's what we were working on for the entire spring semester as well as the summer. These positions can be paid or unpaid, but the purpose is for students to test drive a company to find out if it is the right fit for an apprenticeship position or a full-time position. The school system and the pre-apprenticeship site must agree on the training, the hours, and potential salary for the student. Students must apply, be interviewed, and accepted for the position. So this gives them a real-world career, trying to get a career, a job, experience for these students. And I will tell you, every industry that we've approached about the pre-apprentice or has approached us about the pre-apprentice, they are willing to pay our students to come and do these positions. So we're very excited about that. Apprenticeships. Apprenticeships are for students ages 16 and older as well, but many times work sites will not take students under the age of 18 due to the job requirements. The apprenticeship is a more formal agreement between a student and the apprenticeship site. Students in apprenticeships may be paid by the work site and are offered training through the partnering community college at no cost to the student. Our students already receive this benefit through Career and College Promise, but if they're in an apprenticeship program, they can continue that training at no cost to them once they graduate from high school. The funding for that is through the business as well as Apprenticeship NC, as well as the Apprenticeship NC program. Students will earn high school credits for their pre-apprentice or their apprenticeship hours.
And any company is going to look at these opportunities and say, you know, what's in it for me? What's my return on investment? And these are some really important facts that are standing out that our apprentices are getting. Youth apprentices start at a low wage scale, but they progress quickly into higher wages as their skills increase. And we don't even think low wages, because as our companies have been talking to us, they're already starting them at like $12 an hour, a lot better than minimum wage. So we're, you know, feeling comfortable about what the scale of the wages will be. Most apprentices are so productive within 1 year of an apprenticeship that they're making money for the company and then mentoring the younger apprentice. Research studies say that for every dollar spent on training, an employer receives a benefit, and on average, it's $1.47 to $2 in their investment. Increased retention and low turnover for the duration of the apprenticeship and beyond decreases company training costs. Because we are behind it, we have our, you know, my position, our teachers, you know, parents are supportive of it. They're getting that support system early, which keeps them in that job. and gives that opportunity. Youth have and can easily obtain the prerequisite skills you want to bring into your company with industrial certificates and credentials. Companies are always interested in safety and the training aspects, and we know that our students earn credentials in CTE, and we know we're working with Dust Stroud with the
Manufacturing Academy.
Manufacturing Academy. That's going to be a credential they'll gain through this. So we're credentialing them and, saving the company money there.
Well, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Crown is our first exciting approved apprenticeship. In August, we received official word that the apprenticeship has been approved by Apprenticeship North Carolina. And this is in cooperation with our local community college, LCC. We have really partnered and worked hard. We will roll out the pre-apprenticeship application this month. We're working with our counselors to do that. Mrs. Jones is meeting with them on Thursday. We're working with Crown to schedule an interest meeting for students, parents, or guardians to come to show their interest once the applications are made, because we've got to get their buy-in. Everybody has to be on a buy-in there. There will be, at the end of the cycle, if they choose to stay with the company, they're all excited about a signing day. And Amy, you want to talk a little bit about the signing day?
Sure. So our goal is to have students in the pre-apprentice program starting in January of 2020. Some of our students are already in the Manufacturing Academy through Lenore Community College, and those students are a little bit ahead of the game actually because they're already taking classes. But that doesn't knock a student out of contention for these pre-apprenticeship positions. Once they do the pre-apprenticeship, Crown will invite them to come complete that program throughout the spring semester, and then if they are offered a ongoing apprenticeship or position, we will have a signing day at the end of the school year with all the bells and whistles for students who choose to sign with that company. So we're really excited about that.
They talk about signing days with athletes, signing days with scholarships. We want signing days with work-based learning also, and the companies really want that as well.
And in very exciting news, and this is hot off the press, new opportunities are on the horizon with Spirit Aerosystems. Our leadership, Lenore County Public Schools, Ms. Scheimer, myself, Mr. Harvey, Ms. Herring, and Mr. Williams met with the Spirit executives on August the 29th, and Ms. Bryant from Kinston High School, to discuss the expansion of our partnership. Spirit leadership has been impressed with the high school interns that have worked at the Spirit site, and you'll hear a little bit more about them in just a little bit. Now they want to do more to help build their workforce and to provide greater opportunities to our students and community. Spirit is expanding in Kinston, and they need a skilled labor force to come to work. They are committed to this community, and they want to grow here. The partnership will start with a pilot program at Kinston High School and will then expand to our other high schools and eventually to the surrounding area. We're really excited about the growth of this partnership and what it means for our students and their families. So this fall, we'll form a partnership oversight team. Spirit is providing grants, classroom and school level grants to Kinston High School and the teachers there. And then in the spring, we'll work with the focus area teams with Spirit, with their leadership team and their engineers and their maintenance workers and floor workers to make sure that our curriculum is aligned with what they are needing and wanting in a pre-apprentice. We'll work on career awareness where students can go visit the site. And then student support, if students need things that we can provide for them or Spirit can provide for them to get them ready for this opportunity. And we'll begin the pre-apprentice approval process just like we did with Crown. And then summer 2020, they want to increase the number of summer internships to 20 CTE students. And in the past, that has been limited to 18 years old and above, so mostly it's been for graduates. They said there will be some opportunities for 16 and 17-year-olds as well, so that is huge news for us.
Really.
In fall 2020, the pre-apprentice and apprenticeship program will begin with Spirit. So that'll be our second manufacturing site that is supporting apprenticeships with Lenore County Public Schools and Lenore Community College. So
And
could
you're
not be more
gonna
excited.
see that in the next presentation, but the Spirit executives that we met with were, from the CEO out there at the Kinston site, he wasn't able to join us in that meeting, but he sent his regards and his sentiments about our students that he's worked with so far. But they've really been impressed with our kids. They have a full range of opportunities there, from the high-end engineering jobs, from master's degree positions, down to entry-level positions. And basically what they're looking for is is students with, they said pretty much this academy could result in, they're offering jobs to any of our students who meet the criteria, and it's on a competitive basis. But if they go through and meet all the criteria, they can hire as many students as we can offer for entry-level jobs working. They have this new affiliation with Boeing, and their business is booming, and they expect to expand in Kinston, but if and only if the workforce in Eastern North Carolina grows for them. And these aren't just, and the message has been out there for a while that it's engineering and high-tech jobs, but they were getting the message to us loud and clear on a week before last, that they need high school graduates with a great attitude and great basic skills, kids who are trainable and interested in moving up a career ladder.
So in conclusion, our program, the CTE program, is committed to facilitating the growth of work-based learning for our students, businesses, teachers, and our families. We know that a strong focus on career awareness for our students helps to open students' eyes to the many careers that are available to them. And by preparing our future workforce, we're helping our community to become a community of choice in Eastern North Carolina for workers and for businesses. And we want to be future-ready Lenore. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Just have one.
Yes, sir.
On the unpaid internships, can those hours count for community service hours for those kids since they're not paid positions?
I'm not sure if they would count as community service, but that would be a decision between the school leadership and the CTE program, just to see if it does fulfill. Some of them might, maybe if it was at the animal shelter or something like that, they might be able to use them in both capacities.
Well, let's
I know
specify
in
what
job
we mean by
shadowing.
community, because there are different types of community services.
Right.
Yeah.
Community service for, say, National Honor Society or
Yes.
some
Well,
other
job
department.
shadowing already counts for community service, like for National Honor Society. And I'm
Okay.
not sure about the IB program at Kinston High. I think they, have worked with some of the community service hours too.
So we can work with the principals and talk and see, what would fulfill that requirement. It's a great question. Any other questions? All right, at this time, I would like for you to hear a little bit more about, what was going on at Spirit with our students, and I'm going to ask Ms. Bryant to come up if that's okay. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good
I'm
evening.
Kellen Bryant, and I've been asked to speak about the summer internship that our students have participated in at Spirit Aerosystems the past 2 summers. The Spirit Aerosystems, located here in Kinston, offers a paid manufacturing internship for students ages 18 to 19. That's current graduates at the high school level. So we're looking at our seniors in May to participate. They started year before last. We had 3 students who participated, and this past year we had 8 students who participated from June 14th through August 1st. The program offers the opportunity for students to learn about aviation tools and processes while providing mentoring opportunities for our students to work with several of the supervisors in their expert areas and learn about the different areas of manufacturing that go on at Spirit Aerosystems, and there is a lot. Hands-on training for some of the critical skills. They did quite a bit of team building and soft skills training, especially in the first 2 weeks of the internship before moving on to the floor with the supervisors. The program objective for the internship is to increase awareness and interest in manufacturing careers, which goes right along with what we're doing with our CTE program here in Lenore County. Promote enrollment in local technical manufacturing certificate programs, which we have quite a few at Lenore Community College that support Spirit Aerosystems and other manufacturing programs. And then grow future talent pipelines. The program hours are from Monday through Friday from 7:30 to 11:30, 20 hours per week, $12 an hour. Those were some of the roles that the interns were expected to have that we received from Spirit when they came to meet with us. A year before last, it was, they just needed a few students. They wanted graduates who were going 4-year college. And so those 3 students went and worked those 6 weeks, the summer of 2018, and then went off to 4-year university. This past year, when they came to us in May, the request was to select 16 students who were either community college bound or going straight into the workforce, and who had taken some CTE coursework attached to the manufacturing program, and then move into the next steps of the program from there. These are some of the roles of the Spirit Aerosystem. It sounds like they had a lot of fun from what we've heard from students and from the board members and the Human Resources Department at Spirit. The next steps came in May, where the interviews took place on our campus. We had 16 students who were selected. Those 16 students were interviewed by Spirit Aerosystems. We set up an interview system for them, and then the very next day, those students received an official email letting them know if they had been accepted or not into the program and had been ranked. So 8 out of the 16 received an email. 2 of them immediately ran down to the front office to show and say, look, I was approved. And then they had a signing day at Spirit on their first day, which was June 14th. They had to report at 7:30 that morning. They told us that several of them were there very, very early at the gate before even their employees got there, ready to go. They had a program pause from July 1st through the 5th for July 4th holiday, and then the last day was August 1st. So the candidate selection, like I said, 8 out of 16 were selected. They went through the hiring process. So after they received the email, they had to go through the same process if you were to be hired, with background check, drug screening, finish the application process, and everything else to move forward. All 8 students who received the approval for the internship completed the internship. 1 student who interned has moved into a full-time position at Spirit while also attending Lenore Community College. So this is what one of the students stated. The program was different than what I expected. I learned there is much more to manufacturing jobs and many opportunities available. I received on-site training from supervisors in their expert areas. I learned how to be a better communicator and ask for help when I did not understand something. She said that that was extremely important to the job that they do. You have to ask if you don't know, because every role, no matter what you play at Spirit, is important. And the Spirit internship opened a new door for her. So she's currently a student at Lenore Community College. And then this student, it was a great experience. We had to do a presentation at the end to share what we learned. We presented to the board members of the company. And that wasn't just people who are from Kinston. The board members of Spirit Aerosystems are from Singapore, France, Wichita, Kansas. They're from all over the world. So these students had to put a presentation together and share it with the company. All 8 students were offered positions. 1 was going military bound. 4 were going to 4-year university, and 3 going to community college. This student here stated that the internship was a step towards my career with Spirit, and so he's currently a full-time at Spirit Aerosystems while also in school at Lenore Community College, which is awesome.
And the plans are, we talked with the Spirit executive, the plans are to expand this to all 3 high schools. They started with Kinston, it's right down the road from their facility. They have many staff members who have children and grandchildren at Kinston High School, and they reached out to Ms. Bryant and asked her about this, and this nucleus started, and we want to expand it and grow it. They offered every single one of those kids a job, and these are very good entry-level salaries that move up very quickly. And I think that they talked to us about some scaffolding and support for the kids to move through their 4-year college and beyond and really make it a career. So we were very excited about that. This has been the missing piece. We're doing a great job in Lenore County Public Schools with our career pathways, but they really heretofore have been college pathways for 4-year and 2-year colleges. But I'm not sure that, I think we've done a good job, but I think we're doing a much better job now, and our plans are to do a great job with career, with paving the way from school to the career directly. And this is that missing piece, I think, and we're very proud of that. Our industry partners are excited about it, and it's really exciting what comes next.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Bryant, and Mrs. Scheimer.
I have one question.
Okay?
I have one question.
Yes.
So I was noticing the age was 18.
Yes.
So are they considering possibly you have some seniors that are 17?
Right, so we
Well, they
talked
just
about that
changed.
with the, with the 17-year-olds, they cannot work on the floor at Spirit. So what they're going to do with the 16 and 17-year-olds is they're going to allow them to work in their training facility at the Global Trans Park and work with their engineers on that site. They just can't, with the 18-year-old and the liability, they can't put them on the floor at the plant, which is why the program's been limited to high school graduates up until this year. But now they're willing to work backwards with our seniors who are 18 years old, and they're willing to provide additional opportunities for our 17-year-olds. So we're excited about that. It's a great,
Yeah, that's great, because a lot of them are 17.
Right, and they turn 18 sometime during the senior year, but not to start with, so,
Yeah, sometimes.
okay. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Our next presentation item will be our student achievement summary. Mr. Corey.
Charles.
Switched it over to the HDMI, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon. I'm here to present the 2018-2019 LCPS data with you on this afternoon. Before we begin talking about the data, I wanted to just briefly talk about this image because I think it directly relates to data when you look at data when it comes to LCPS. First thing I want to point out to you is I want us to imagine for a moment that this is a picture of Kinston, North Carolina. All right? The tall building that's to the right of your screen, we're just going to say that that's going to be Lenoir County's central office, central services building. Across from that, across from that, you will see two vehicles on a parking deck. We'll say one of those vehicles is Ms. Herring's and the other one is Mr. Williams. Mr. Harvey is coming around the boulevard, getting ready to park. He was just leaving the school, and he's on his way to the meeting as well. But the vehicle that I want you to really focus on is the vehicle that is turning, is taking a left turn at the top, sort of like the corner or the middle of your screen, but at the top corner of the central office building. I want you for a moment to imagine that you are sitting in that vehicle. It does have a sunroof, so it does look like it's a very comfortable vehicle to sit in. But while you're in that vehicle, there are three perspectives. There's a past perspective, there's a present perspective, and there's a future perspective. Inside that vehicle, the past says, I just came down the street and there was a whole lot of cars, the traffic was congested, and I'm so glad that that's over with. The present perspective for that vehicle is, okay, now I'm making this turn, I'm getting closer, I can see central office building, I'm getting ready to be here on time enough for my meeting. The future perspective in that vehicle says, oh my God, there's more cars in front of me, and it's gonna take me even longer to arrive at central office for my meeting. That's the street level view. So let's bring it back and let's look at a bird's eye view from that same, looking at that same vehicle. The past perspective from a bird's eye view is the same. The present perspective from the bird's eye view is the same. But the future's perspective from the bird's eye view is totally different. Because from the bird's eye view, we can see that as soon as that car reaches the next street, they don't have to go as far as they think they do before they arrive at their location. And I think it's important that when we look at data, that we look at data from both perspectives, the bird's eye view perspective and the street view perspective. So as I go throughout this presentation on this afternoon, I'm going to be referencing bird's eye view, and I'm also going to be referencing street level view, because I think it's important for us to see the total picture of what's taking place in the district that we all serve. So a district's perspective. Looking at this chart right here, we see reading 3 through 8 in Lenoir County Public Schools. You can see what took place in 15-16, 16-17, 17-18, and 18-19. At first glance, you do see that there was a decrease in 18-19. But when you actually look at those numbers, you actually see that in 17-18, it was 50% proficiency versus a 49% proficiency. So when you take that whole chart in front of you, the full picture of that chart, you can actually see the past and the present, and you can determine that there's positive things that are taking place when it comes to reading 3 through 8. That is a positive trend line when it comes to reading in Lenoir County Public Schools. Next, we have science 5 and 8. You can see that there is a positive trend that's taking place with the increase of proficiency in science 5 and 8 in Lenoir County Public Schools from 15-16 all the way to 18-19. Math 3 through 8. You can see that there was a slight dip 17, 18, 18, 19, but it was 45.9 to 45.8. So when you look at the past and the present, you actually see that there's a positive trend that's taking place in math 3 through 8 in Lenoir County Public Schools. Biology, 15-16 to 18-19. You can see that there's a positive trend that's taking place in biology. We're getting better every single year. English 2. You can see the positive trend that's taking place with English 2 in Lenoir County Public Schools. 16-17 all the way to 18-19. Now, we're not a perfect school system, and no school system is. So Math 1 does show that there are some opportunities for some interventions to take place. But I want to also point out when it comes to Math 1 that there was changes in how Math 1 was calculated from the state level. And so Math 1 is now, if you take Math 1 in 8th grade, it's now factored in as part of 8th grade math at the middle school level. Before, if you took Math 1 in 8th grade, it actually went up to the high school and was counted as a high school
This is
level.
the first year that the high schools have lost every single one of those scores, which typically those have been just about 100% proficiency for all of the kids, the highest functioning kids in the 8th grade for math, algebra 1.
And they also took the 8th grade EOG that they're not taking now.
Yes, sir. So you actually, as we go throughout the presentation, you actually see that this decline was actually reflected in the state's Math 1 results as well. So while there's the opportunity for improvement, we just want to point out that the changes are pretty much a statewide, having a statewide impact on how students are performing in Math 1. Math course rigor, you can see we did take a slight decline in math course rigor. Math course rigor is those students that take Math 3 in high school that actually pass the course. ACT work keys. You see the increase that's taking place with ACT work keys in the district. ACT. We acknowledge that ACT we have some work to do with ACT, but I can tell you that high schools have begun to implement ACT prep daily in their classes in order to address the issues that we're seeing with ACT here in Lenoir County Public Schools. Cohort graduation rate, you can see that we are slightly up from 84.6 to 84.7.
Which continues to be the highest in the history of our district. So we've been able to maintain it. Getting it's hard, maintaining and continuing on upward is an even higher climb, but we're dedicated to that.
Okay. So let's talk about achievement data. Let's go to more of a street view and look at achievement data throughout the district. We'll start with 3rd grade reading. You can see how the state's performing, you can see how LCPS is performing, and then you can see how elementary schools are performing in grade 3 reading. I want you to pay special attention in this slide to Southeast and the increase and the gains that took place at Southeast Elementary School. Also want to focus on Banks and Continue Savannah, the increases that they made between 17-18 and 18-19. 3rd grade math. You see the state, you see LCPS. Also look at the change that took place with Banks between 17-18 and 18-19. Take a look at Southeast again. Change that took place between 17-18 and 18-19.
Mr. Corey, we also need to point out that this is a completely new math curriculum this year and completely new curriculum, new standards, new target goals, new assessments, new everything. And traditionally, our school system and almost every school system has anticipated a dip in terms of performance and growth in the initial implementation year of new standards,
Yes, sir.
new curriculum, I'm sorry.
Fourth grade reading. Improvements that took place at Banks, CSS, Moss Hill, Southeast again, Southwood, Northeast. Fourth grade math. Banks was up, Moss Hill was up, Southwood, Southeast again. Highest it's been in 4 years.
And that's with the new curriculum. Remember, we expected a dip. Planned for, hoped for not to have that, but we typically, over time, historically, have seen a dip in the implementation year, so that's positive.
Fifth grade reading. CSS is showing a 3-year positive trend. Pink Hill improved. Southeast again. Sixth grade reading. LCPS. It's the highest it's been in 4 years. Positive trend up, getting better every single year as a district in reading, sixth grade. FMS improved. Rochelle Middle School, the highest it's been in 4 years. Positive trend, getting better every year. Sixth grade reading. Sixth grade math. LCPS, it's getting better every year. Positive trend. FMS, positive gains, the highest it's been in 4 years. RMS, the highest it's been in 4 years. Positive trend. Second place, sixth grade math, LCPS. Seventh grade reading. You can look at Whittington Middle School's highest it's been in 4 years. Positive trend. Seventh grade math. Positive trends, LCPS, every year we're getting better and better. CSS, improved. Rochelle Middle School, highest it's been in 4 years. Whittington Middle School, highest it's been in 4 years. Eighth grade reading. FMS, highest it's been in 4 years on a positive 3-year trend. Rochelle Middle School, positive trend, past 4 years, highest it's been. LCPS improved from 17-18 to 18-19. Highest it's been in 4 years. Eighth grade math. LCPS, highest it's been in 4 years, positive trend. Take a look at Frank. They're above the state. Rochelle Middle School increased from 17-18 to 18-19. Fifth grade science. Positive trends taking place in the LCPS overall. CSS is up. LaGrange, highest it's been in 4 years, higher than the state. Moss Hill went up 17-18 to 18-19, higher than the state. Northwest, 4-year trend, increasing every year. Pink Hill, higher than the state. Southeast, highest in 4 years. Southwood, it's the highest they've been in 4 years. Eighth grade science, LCPS, 4 years. Highest has been in 4 years. Positive trend taking place in eighth grade science. Frink Middle School, once again, higher than the state. Rochelle Middle School, highest it's been in 4 years. Math 1, briefly talked about Math 1 earlier, and you can actually see what happened in the state when you look from 16-17 to 17-18 and the huge dip that took place in 18-19. So that was in reference to what I referenced earlier. You can see that that change has taken place. It's hitting a lot of people.
And it's almost in completely direct alignment if you look at the same proportionality.
English 2. Kinston High School, highest it's been in 4 years. Early college, highest it's been in 4 years. Biology, positive trends happening in LCPS overall, the highest it's been in 4 years. Kinston High School, tremendous gains from 17, 18, 18, 19, the highest it's been in 4 years. Early college, North Lenoir, highest it's been in 4 years. Work keys. I want to point out that while the state has decreased the past 3 years, Lenoir County Public Schools has increased the last 3 years. North Lenoir High School is the highest it's been in the past 4 years. ACT, we acknowledge that this is an area that we need to focus on, and we're making some strides in that. I'm making some steps in that direction. This is where we are currently with ACT. AWA is the combining of ACT and ACT work keys. You can see what took place in the state. The state had a slight decrease and we had an increase in Lenoir County Public Schools. You can see what took place at the high schools as well, with the increase at Kinston High School and the increase at North Lenoir High School. Math course rigor. Students that actually take Math 3 and pass. You can see what took place in the state, LCPS, and the high schools within the district. Cohort graduation rate. You can see where the state ended up in 86.5 in 18-19. We were 84.7. Getting closer and closer to state average in Lenoir County Public Schools. You can also see those schools that went up: North Lenoir High School, South Lenoir High School. Summer school, 4th grade reading. All schools increased due to summer school. So summer school was very successful here at Lenoir County Public Schools. 5th grade reading, see the gains that were made. 6th grade reading. 7th grade reading. 8th grade reading. Biology. English 2. Fifth grade science. Eighth grade science.
Just Corey, it's important to point out for the board that these numbers are outstanding for summer school. They show across the board gains in student achievement for summer school. Summer school, proportionally speaking, is one of the most expensive things we do proportionally, and we do get some funding from the state, but it doesn't cover all of our summer endeavors. But this, to us, is a positive indicator that summer work with kids does work, that it is meaningful if done the right way, and that it can pay big benefits.
The 2019 summer overview. Lenoir County Public School increased in all subject areas, all grade levels in reading, biology, English 2, and science.
And we're not allowed to retest in math.
That's right. This year, we were not allowed to have retesting or have summer school session in math. Okay, so let's talk about growth. All right? So this is what you have right here in front of you is growth for North County Public Schools by elementary school, starting from Banks, going all the way down to Continue Savannah. I want to, first of all, talk about the not met in Banks. If you look at the street view, you're focusing on 2019. But if you look at bird's eye view, you're focused on 2012 all the way to 2019. And you see that Banks has a history of meeting growth and exceeding growth. You also would note that their reading score, or their reading growth score, was a negative 2.6. The way growth is measured is on a range between -2 and 2. So essentially, when it came to Banks not meeting growth, they were 0.6 of a point away from not meeting growth. Math, they met growth. Reading was the area that brought them down when it came to whether or not they met or did not meet growth. So I think it's important for us to have that bird's eye view and know those intricate details in looking at the not met for Banks Elementary School. You can look at LaGrange, 4 years of exceeding. Every other elementary school met growth this past year.
Too, that's with the new math curriculum figured in. We can't stress that enough. You're not comparing apples to apples. It's a different curriculum, but they assess a growth number, but the growth number is dependent upon new cut scores and new scale scores that had to be created.
Middle school, we can see that Frank met, see that Rochelle did not meet, and Woodington did not meet. But when you're looking at growth, growth is pretty much determined based upon 1 year's worth of growth. So where students are supposed to be at the end of after 1 year of instruction. Those two schools had some severe challenges this past year with personnel. And because we know that when we have teachers, highly qualified teachers in the classroom, that students perform better. We know that had a huge factor in whether or not Rochelle and Woodington met growth. But what we know this year is this. We know that they are fully staffed with highly qualified, certified teachers in every classroom. And we're confident that we're going to see that not met go to met for the 2020 school year. Growth for the high schools. 2019, you see not met for Kinston High. Early college, you see met. North Lenoir, you see not met. South Lenoir, you see met. Looking at 2019, of those two schools that did not meet, if you look at that as a street view, then you see not met. But when you look at a bird's eye view and you understand that growth, how it is measured, how it gets better and better every year, you begin to notice that Kinston was at a negative 9.79 in 2016 when it came to that growth measure. 2017, it decreased to a negative 5.86. 2018, it decreased to a negative 4.68. 2019, it decreased to a negative 3.26. So whereas they did not meet, they are making improvements and students are growing in order to meet the -2 that's required to meet growth. North Lenoir High School, same concept. 2016, negative 13.26. 2017, negative 13.34. 2018, negative 10.87. And last year, a negative 5.6. Growth is taking place in our high schools. Growth is happening in Lenoir County Public Schools. School letter grades. Elementary, we have Banks with the C, LaGrange with the C, Moss Hill with the B. We have Northeast with the D. Northeast did meet growth. We have Northwest with the D. Northwest did meet growth. We have Pink Hill with the C. We have Southeast with the D that increased from an F. Southwood with a C.
You'll remember that 5 years ago, Southeast Elementary School was one of the bottom 3 elementary schools in the state of North Carolina, not 3%, but one of the bottom 3, and it was in danger of state takeover. So we're very proud of the achievements and accomplishments of staff and administration at Southeast Elementary School and moving forward. You'll also remember that last year, 6 of our schools improved their letter grade. That was unprecedented. No other district proportionally in the Southeast region had 6 improve their letter grade in a single year, so we were very pleased with that. Most of those schools have maintained that, and we hope to see that trend continuing.
Middle school, we have CSS, the C, Frank with a C, Rochelle with an F, but I want to point out that Rochelle has the highest proficiency that they have had in the last 7 years. Woodington, C.
Mr. Corey, we also need to point out that 3 years ago, we had 3 F schools.
Yes. High schools, Kinston High, D. Talked about the high growth gains that they had when it came to growth a few minutes ago, looking at bird's eye view. Early College High School, A. North Lenore High School, C. They improved their letter grade. South Lenore High School, B. Okay. So just want to bring us back to this image that we started with and give you some concluding points about 1819. Trend data supports that we have gains in 3 through 8 ELA, 5 and 8 science, 3 through 8 math, biology, English 2, and ACT WorkKeys. 89% of elementary schools met or exceeded. 80% of high schools had an increase in proficiency. 80% of middle schools had an increase in proficiency. Southeast Elementary School, 14 percentage point increase in proficiency. It's the highest increase in the district. Rochelle Middle School, highest proficiency in 7 years. LaGrange Elementary School, to exceed growth for the 4th consecutive year. All subjects increase in short summer session. We have positive gains in 5th and 8th science and biology for 4 consecutive years. Our cohort graduation rate is the highest ever, and 88% of our schools maintain or increase their letter grade. That is all I have.
That's a lot of work you had.
It is a lot. That's
sir.
a lot of work. Thank you, Mr. Corey, for putting all that together. It takes a lot of work. I just want to point out to the public, one thing that we've been talking about for the past few years about these letter grades is that the unfairness of it, that the way it's set up is that we can see that growth was met and a lot proficiency increased, because with the formula, I believe, what is it, only 20%?
20% for growth.
Only
yes, sir.
20% is on growth, and the other 80 is on proficiency and test scores. So just to point out to the public how unfair that grading scale is for the A through D or A through F grading scale, what you see on the grades is not really what you're seeing in the schools as far as what proficiency is or what growth is. So I think it's important that they understand that when they look at the letter grades, don't judge the school by the letter grades, but judge the school by the growth that is made. Because if they don't understand that, they're gonna say, well, they got a D, they got an F, you know, they're not doing anything. I wouldn't want my kid to go there. So it's important that they look at growth and not look at what the actual the letter grade is, because it's really not fair, and it really doesn't give an accurate measurement of what the schools are doing. And it's something we've been fussing about with the legislative and all that about for the past few years, that it's unfair the way it's done. So I think that's important they understand that.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Corey, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I can say that as someone who sat where you sat and had to do what you just did. I appreciate your efforts. But tell me if I'm mistaken, that when we changed from No Child Left Behind to the Every Student Succeeds Act, that there was a 2-year period in there where the feds allowed the state a transition period before they start requesting data. And one of the things and one of the data that they were asking, were going to monitor, was closing the achievement gap. Now, when I look at these proficiency numbers, I don't know whether it's a bird's eye view, a street view, or old man's view. From the numbers that I see, when I think about subgroup numbers, because from my perspective, you got some subgroup numbers that are weighing down your overall achievement numbers. And I took the day to go back through the school improvement plans from last year, and there were very few schools that did any focus on the subgroups and what they were targeting in their school improvement plans. I would suggest to Ms. Herring, as I just got the schedule, that would be one area that we look at in terms of trying to get a handle on these things. Now let me first say, as you would say to the public, that I am 100% behind this administrative team and the principals and teachers in our schools, because I know they're working hard, I know they're dedicated, and I know they're professionals. That's up front. If anybody's tuned in to these meetings and listened to the presentations that they have been bringing forth, you know you got a school system that's on the move. From my perspective here, I'm looking at trying to get to the best situation that we can get to. And from a board's perspective, to make sure that you have the resources that you need to get the job done. Now, you have 2 middle schools and 2 high schools that we need to take a look at. And as a board, the one thing that we know that gives schools a chance is class size. And I would like to have a report brought back of the class sizes at the middle and high school in those areas that have been identified that are struggling. We're in this together. And I again commend you for what you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. And just to follow up on what Mr. Anderson said, we absolutely will get that data together. And Mr. Anderson's always been faithful in attending our school improvement plan presentations. That's why he can speak with great authority and assurance on what's in those plans. You probably didn't have to review them closely because he remembers them because he was there for all the presentations and really has been since we started doing those almost 3 years ago now.
For the record, I never made 831.
I was covering for you on that one. The post 9 o'clock ones, yes, he has been in. That's after the first cup, right? So, but I did want to let you know, we've added a step this year that I think is a proactive one, and we've already started that. We're having Mr. Corey sit down with the principal and any other administrative team members from the school and curriculum specialists, if the school has one, sitting down and going through line by line, subgroup by subgroup, and we've always done a little bit of that, but really spending just hours with each school and going through the data and the subgroup information, everything from achievement gap issues to trends over time, looking at the classroom level to support teachers, not a gotcha, but really looking at what's happening and what's not happening, what needs to happen. How can, as you referenced, is it a matter of class size? Is it a matter of scheduling? Is it something with the master schedule? And really having nothing sacred except our mission to help kids and having no preconceived notions. And we're going to take that into the NC STAR school improvement presentations. And I hope that you'll see that reflected there. So thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Corey?
Thank you, Mr. Corey. The last item under presentation will be our financial report from Mr. Adams.
Good evening, board members. The August 2019 financial report summarizes budget and year-to-date activity for all fund sources as of August 31st. Additionally, the report presents the unadjusted fund balance as of August 31st. As you have an opportunity to review the report, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Adams.
Thank you.
We'll stick with you as we move into our action portion of the agenda. The 2019-2020 budget resolution.
Yes, sir. Thank you. As you recall, in June, we passed an interim budget resolution in the absence of a state budget being passed. That interim budget resolution was for July 1st through September 30th. So proactively, we are working to extend the interim budget through October 31st and increasing those amounts proportionately.
In hopes that we might have a real budget by then.
Hope that we do.
So no questions. I'll entertain a motion to accept.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Woods.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Smith, I believe. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Next item is our out-of-state field trip request. Mrs. Henry.
Yes, sir. We have two requests for field trips outside of the state of North Carolina. The first one is from Pink Hill Elementary. Their third grade would like to visit Myrtle Beach November 22nd of this year. They'll be focusing on science standards and literary standards. It's a really great field trip. And the other is, and they're taking a charter bus. And then the other is North Lenoir. Their FFA students are requesting again to attend the National FFA Convention in Indianapolis, Indiana. They've been for several years now.
They placed first in the state,
Yes.
so they're actually competing.
Yeah, so we're very excited about that. So if you have any questions about either one, I'll try to answer them.
We have a motion.
Motion to approve the out-of-state field trips requested as presented.
Motion by Mr. Hill,
Second.
second by Mr. Bogan. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And our last item under action is our surplus items. Mr. Hardy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The attached technology items submitted for your approval to be deemed surplus. Any proceeds from the sale should be returned to the technology department.
Everybody's had a chance to look at those. I'll entertain a motion to accept the surplus items.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Davis. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you, gentlemen. Now we'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I move that Lenore County Board of Education goes to closed session under North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 to prevent disclosure of confidential personnel files, to consult with the board's attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege, and to consider matters relating to the initial employment of an individual employee.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. We have a motion by Mr. Hill. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bogan. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. We're now in closed session. Now back in open session. And Mr. Williams doesn't have anything. We will entertain a motion to accept the personnel report.
Move to accept personnel report with the addendum.
Have a motion by Mr. Smith.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bogan. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you, gentlemen. We have a motion to adjourn. We have an adjournment by Mr. Anderson. Second by Mr. Woods. All in favor of adjourning, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Have a good evening.